Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again. Look, it's just so important to me that you and all of us as human beings become blessings to one another, that we help each other to be free. This stays on my mind so much. Why? Because I envision it all the time. It's like I'm walking around in it, and at the same time, I'm seeing all of it missing. And so it drives me wild that I have to always keep you on my mind. But when I say keep you on my mind, I'm talking about solution. And so I got some notes here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to read them to you. So understand that when I speak to you about my freedom, your freedom, I realize that my freedom is no freedom without your freedom. And you and I must understand that our freedom is no freedom unless everybody's free. The same thing that it takes to make me free, it requires to make us free. To make us free, make the whole world free. To the people of the great states of Arizona, of Georgia and Michigan and Nevada and New Mexico and Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, many people in Congress, perhaps your congressperson from your own state, that wanted to use you to exploit you for their benefit. You know what they wanted to do? Well, anyway, I think you do. You were saved this time. But there are people that made up their minds. They were going to give you a president, whether you liked it or not. For sure, you would not have liked it. Not only this, there are plans made to disenfranchise most people that are not wealthy. The reason that there's so much support for corruption is that many people's dreams are not realized. They've been deceived as to the reasons and are split and divided while fighting each other with that ignorance. A mission of basic human rights for all people, black and white, people of all colors, straight and gay. Everyone is treated like God's child. You hear me, ladies and gentlemen? The basic human rights of all people. Everybody is treated like God's child. A mission such as this will protect you. It'll protect your children and your grandchildren. And it'll do that for generations to come. Now, I want you to know one other thing. Only God can fix this problem. And God can do it with only your support. No leader can take you as far as the truth, which we all must face and watch a brand new life. Now, this message is basically to the poor states of the Union. Mississippi, 19%. Louisiana, Mexico, West Virginia, Kentucky, Arkansas, Alabama, D.C., South Carolina, Oklahoma. Of all the people of the country, you are the most exploitative. You don't care about one another. Maybe because your past experience had to do with the evils of the past. Of all states, you are the poorest. The plan of basic human rights for all people is to advise the public, the creatures of God, the way of God, to do the love of God. Democrats and Republicans don't have an idea. Neither do the church. In fact, many will fight against God. In a matter such as this, of course they will. But with your support, you will recover. There's something that goes, we talk about the G7 nations. Used to be G8, but I think they got rid of Russia. Um, France and Germany, Italy and Japan, uh, the UK and the United States and Canada. Uh, you bring together the world's advanced economies to influence global trends and tackle pervasive and cross-cutting issues, as well as emergent global crises. You meet annually to coordinate global economic policies and address other transnational issues. At least the information on the research that I have found indicates that these things happen. Your duties and responsibilities relative to global economics requires that that your recognition that the comfort that you have endured is desired by the world's poorest nations, and as God's entity with gained experience, it is desired of you by basic human rights that you consider a move that all nations will have similar visibility. Sorry about that reading like that, ladies and gentlemen, but that's just the way it is. Nevertheless, I want you to know what I'm talking about. I'm saying all of these things out here, all of these issues, all of these problems, constantly growing, and all of these nations that represent certain situations about political and politics and the security of certain nations that call themselves pretty prosperous. Well, basic human rights are saying that these nations got something what we call, according to what we've been lifted up as something important, got it going on. But basic human rights are saying whatever you think that you got going on, then the world's poorest nations should have that going on as well. This is not a fight. This is not a struggle. This is an effort to cause an awakening. And so this information is to be used for that purpose and that purpose alone. You see, now when we talk about the G20 nations, they're a little bit different, but they do some of the same things that the G7 nation does. These are nations, a few of them might be considered as Argentina, Australia, just to name a few, Brazil and Canada, Germany and France and China and India, Indonesia, Italy, Mexico, and Saudi Arabia, just to name a few. I don't have to name them all. But according to what they are supposed to do in research is to an intergovernmental forum working to address major issues related to the global economy. These nations wrapped around certain parts of the world have a forum dealing with global economy, such as the international finances, stability of the international finances, to promote financial regulations. Well, they promote health care. And I was just thinking about people across the globe who don't have health care, I was just thinking about that. I was thinking about people who don't have that protection, who are running from their nations because of gang violence and stuff like this. Well, according to basic human rights for all people, whatever the G20 nations are doing, they are doing okay. But far less. The call is for them to make sure, or to be, and when I say make sure, I want to say this to you too, ladies and gentlemen. When I mention these nations, I'm actually talking to the people, if they can hear, of the nations. I'm not talking to the politicians. I'm not talking to leaders. Now, if they hear me, they can hear. I'm not saying don't hear. But what I really want, and who I'm really trying to reach, are the people. Because it is the people who are not really benefiting. Many of them are. some more than others, but none are benefiting like the top dogs. And there are some that's not benefiting at all. And see, basic human rights for all people is to say that everybody is supposed to be having a good time. And so we're going to call on these G20 nations to address these concerns as it's being said here and as this mission of the basic human rights are concerned. There are certain places that major war zones across the globe where tens of thousands of people are dying, and here and there, not just in one spot, in various conflicts around the world. I got them listed here, but I'm not going to mention them. Take up too much time. But there are countries at war, having civil war, terrorist insurgencies, religious wars, authoritarian power grabbers, nationalism, all of this stuff. All of these, listen to me, all of these things going on. These are representations of people's ideas about how to accomplish something. And usually what they're trying to accomplish is nothing that's across the board. It's all eat dog, us against them. It's always that. And even when you find together like the G7 or the G20 or other nations got their organizations set up like that, it's the same thing. It's all about having and not having. It's struggles and struggles. And it doesn't make sense, but it's the way we go when you're actually defeating or learning what's going on. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. According to the Plan of Basic Human Rights for all wars and conflicts between nations and states and peoples, for all reasons, must cease. Previous actions represents a lost cause, waiting reasons for change. The most major reasons for change is giving representation and materialization to invisibility that meets needs, wants, and desires, and satisfaction for all. The problem of humanity is commitment to truth or exploitation of men who seek for power through money and other. Every individual has responsibility. They have that responsibility to truth, and they have accountability. People don't know this. They don't know this truth. And the reason they don't know it is because of normalization. They didn't start it. It's always been here, and it's a normal thing. This is why you have this benefit of my being here today. The power that is the true power knows that humans are deceived and is willing to receive each one back to truth that chooses it. You're not going to be forced. Nobody's grabbing it. You're not being excused and brought back to truth. You can't. You got to accept it. Isn't that something? You got to choose it. The true path is humans following an unseen power that promises that all needs, all wants, and desires are to be met. And this is to be done upon request. Peace and prosperity and freedom, joy and happiness and dreams lived is the result. The plan allows for the resources necessary to be used for all that humans will do are made available with the earth, as free as the earth. The resources for manifesting whatever the people want, goods and services, such labor will be supplied by the people that will benefit from said goods and services as they choose. The labor will be performed through careers of choice by each worker, which gives each one their greatest joy, designed in such a way that humans creating their dream world, doing exactly what they've chosen to do, which is their thrill. Everyone is doing their thing, creating everything in abundance, so that everyone that chooses to partake of it can. homes and food and clothing and shelter and education and health care, transportation, and everything that's possible that humans are made. It is the result of the invisible power is using. Ain't that something, ladies and gentlemen? The invisible power that I talk to you about all the time. The Spirit is using humans to create heaven. The invisible Spirit is using humans to create heaven. Putting things in perspective. Putting things in perspective. The humans are children of God's creation. And God put them on this earth as their home. And all the resources, wherever they are considered the cupboards where they're stored at, to be used whenever man matures to whatever level that would require some additional stuff to do some additional things that comes through his imagination. And the people have the aspiration and they can manifest certain gifts required to utilize these resources to accomplish the ends that they might have. And these guys who have these great gifts, or women that have these great gifts, have their greatest joy in getting a chance to utilize them. And they're utilizing for the benefit of the human race. And what they do in abundance, because everything that humans do is connected to something else that other humans do for the benefit of what other humans need as far as wants and desires are concerned. So we would never have to suffer a lack of anything. That is God's way, ladies and gentlemen. And I stand before you for 40 years, going to jail, going to prison, on the streets begging, committing crimes to get attention, running for public office, to stand here to tell you I do not care what these intelligent folks are telling you. They don't know anything about intelligence, what they've been teaching you in school, how smart they are. These legal degrees has nothing to do with God. It has nothing whatsoever to do with God. How smart they are has nothing to do with God. And how smart they can maneuver and guide you as living life on this plane, doing these systems. Look around you. A few more minutes from now, things can be happening in the United States that's happening in Russia or China. And the people in the United States are welcoming it. Why? Because they've been messed over. And everybody's been messed over. But nobody has been telling you this. Well, when I say nobody, I mean you haven't been listening. Because I know somebody's telling you now. And I know you act like you have been listening, but I know you don't listen because you don't know any better. All right. What happens? Everyone is doing their thing. But choice was made and choice was given. The choice outside of the one that was made is fake. They call it the alternative choice. It has nothing. It has no earth. It has no natural resources. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop. I'm not going to tell you about right now I've shared with you one choice. The other choice is its opposite. And I'm going to do that on a different video. So I'm going to end this video right now. The choice that allows you to create your own heaven on earth. Thank you.